I know it's been a good while since I went to record. I guess real life kind of caught up to me for a little bit. Also spending time at the gym trying to get my health in order amongst some other little misadventures. But this is something that I received another request for, and I wanted to make sure I was able to get to it before I forget and then fall further behind on everything else. Because I know if I check the docket, I'm probably overdue on a whole lot. So I'll try to be better on that. But if you enjoy this, this might be slightly more serious than your usual episodes. But if you enjoy it, please do like, share, and subscribe. I maybe I can see 100 subscribers by the start of spring. That might be something. But on with the show. This is it. So we're gonna talk about misandry, misogyny, and double standards, and how they all weave a very twisted mess within the society that we all have to still hold hands with each other despite everything else. I mean, for me, before we go further, we'll give you the definition. We should know the definition. Misogyny, basically a strong prejudice, dislike, or hatred of women. Now, if we know what misogyny is, if I say Miss Andre, I'm sure we know what the opposite of a woman slash female is. Okay, we got it? Okay, good, good. I just want to make sure y'all are keeping up with me. I'm going to primarily try to keep it from an angle of corporate America because, in some ways, I can probably draw a little bit more experience from corporate America while I'm doing this. So it said I did have to take a couple notes and do just a little bit of research as well. So that way I at least know I'm able to support what I'm standing on. One thing I did learn in the media: integrity. So most of my experience in the workforce was in the restaurant. I spent most of it as a server, actually quite a lot. It was fun. It's almost like being a server is like was kind of like being in college in a way. You after you got off work, you got to party, do whatever you want, and you didn't have to worry about anything except making it back to class the next day to get the lesson, which usually comes in a couple financial dollar bills. The objective being not to go in to pay to work. But it's some of the realities that I had to learn while I was in the restaurant industry, especially as a server. I mean, one thing that I had to learn is unless someone like a Idris Elba or Reggae Jean Page, I might be looked at very differently because I'm large, obese, but rest assured, those that I was able to show that I'm a lot more than what I look actually came surprised. I mean, there's some cases I've had to where people be surprised, but let's get back to topic before I get to ranting, and that's not what we're here for. Basically, what I was saying is unless I somehow turned out to be Reggae Jean Page from Bridgerton, the cards ain't exactly gonna be in my favor because I'm not eye candy being the predominant thing. Me, my pops told me, yeah, waiting tables is not gonna be for me. I mean, I'm not a female that men are gonna pine over. I'm a whole dude. I don't have blonde hair and 34 C's to where lonely guys getting off work and don't want to be bothered to go home quite yet can just ogle at for about an hour and a half. I mean, I'm a man, period. Sure, it was honest work, but it said my father was right. How do you expect to make a living waiting tables? It's not consistent. And consistency is something that you're going to want more as you get older. But I said that part's going to be for that part's for another episode. But I said I kind of realized after that I was subject to both misogyny and misandry. Let me go ahead and say why. Let's see. As I just previously stated, I'm not an attractive female. I mean, if you're a female generally, you can basically wait tables anywhere because it said lonely guy is gonna try to flirt or spit game. Like lonely guys will take their shots. As men, we don't get it. We don't get that too often, especially if you look like me. You damn sure don't get that too often. I mean, I've had a couple crazy misadventures, but in the restaurant, no, not so much. And then the other part that I would get hit at is even as a male, I am a male that is not a part of the colorful coalition. So some could perceive me as strange to where instead I can be the very sweet guy trying to get into all of everybody's gossip. So it said that's two cases. Those are the cases to where I can put, yeah, I got caught by the misogyny and misandry. But that's what it is. And I mean, I'm gonna say this. I'm not referring to Hooters because Hooters is an obvious restaurant to where men are going to go see, as said, Hooters. So we're taking that out. We're taking that out because that's basically automatically objectifying. So before we get further, like places like Hooters or to where chicks have to show a fair amount of cleavage and look like whole objects. That category, throw it in the furnace. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about, more family oriented places. But then afterwards, you know, I was curious. I got a little more curious. So, I decided to go to Google and ask its infinite AI wisdom, what race is most subject to misandry? I mean, there's a part of me that should say I'm shocked. There's also a part of me that should say I shouldn't. What race is most subject to misandry? Black men and boys are the primary subject of a specific, well documented form of prejudice known as black misandry. We could put it, its infinite wisdom is basically saying this is like another form, is this like a potential form of quote unquote black fatigue? Is we are the subjects to the misandry. It said outside of the N bomb, let's see. Oh yeah, Dusties. Let's see what else. What else get us subject to misandry? F ups, those kind of things. But it said people want to play the intersection card, and then you throw in the racism with it. It's like, so yeah, you're gonna stack everything up against us, but it said, what are you doing to combat it? What are you doing for black men so that we're not particularly subject to misandry? I mean, you have people like Pearl Davis or Just Surly Things who is such a men's right activist that she crashed and burned by somebody that we wouldn't exactly call the men's right activist, but not entirely a whole feminist, as in Anna Kasparian. God, that debate was horrible. But going back to it, courtesy of the American Psychological Association, black males through dehumanizing stereotypes, systemic surveillance, and violence were, was umbrellaed in the of gendered racism. You know, I guess you could say profiling. That's what we're subject to. So now we're gonna ask the other part. What race is more susceptible to misogyny? Now there's a part of me that shouldn't be surprised. Research indicates that black women often face the most intense intersectional forms of misogyny, frequently referred to as misogynoir, which combines racism and sexism. So basically you went out of your way to try to put two things at once. You had to make a verbal grilled cheese sandwich. You had to make something out of nothing. And I'm not saying misogynoir is the nothing. Don't get me wrong. What the nothing was basically giving its own, like basically you had to separate it when is misogyny is still misogyny. It's like perfect example when people talk about reverse racism. Ain't no such thing as reverse racism. Racism is racism, no matter how you look at it. But back to what I was saying. With me just telling you that, You have a lot of people, some of the usual suspects, the usual unmelanated suspects that try to associate DEI with black people. Basically, what I just told you, yeah, we're looking at y'all like, yeah, miss us. We didn't benefit from DEI. We've basically been the backs that are continually walked on. I mean, hell, let's see. Women talk about sticking together, but why were black women having to separate themselves during the second wave feminism? Because the rest of you women failed to include black women until, give or take, the third wave, until after Clarence Thomas allegedly did his thing with the clerk. What I guess y'all have really lived by the concept of better late than never, but I guess it was just a little too late. But we're going to go to double standards. I also want to try to put this in there as well. And then I'm going to apply a couple things to some of the bullet points. We're going to go through this. Double standards between men and women rooted in traditional gender roles involve uneven societal expectations regarding behavior, sexuality, careers, and emotions. Women often face higher scrutiny over sexual history and appearance while facing workplace bias. Okay, so let's tip the scale. Let's tip the scale on that sentence. Women face higher scrutiny over the bodies, but you think I don't criticize men that tag bodies like it's Call of Duty's kill confirmed. Note YouTube, that's a scenario. I'm not using that as a form of removal. The point being, yeah, I'd be just as critical. It's like don't y'all worry about things like disease and other things with tagging all them bodies. But then again, I guess only fiends. Sorry, we're not trying. I'm not trying to give advertisement to that place. The Only Fiends webpage. In a way, when you try to put that into it, that's to where I kind of gotta scale it and say you brought it on yourself when you decide to work with OnlyFiends. Conversely, men are pressured to repress emotions, act as primary providers, and face stigma regarding childcare or being victims of domestic abuse. I mean, I could say repressing emotions. Yeah, we're supposed to be men. We're supposed to be tough. We're supposed to be men lead the way. I mean, as a man, does it affect me not being a primary provider? Not entirely. I mean, I am gainfully employed. I do have very steady income, but I've come to the point repressing my emotions, well, that's always going to be a part of me. But outside of that, If my spouse isn't wanting but so much for nothing, I'm okay. When you get older, you start to realize those things. Now, going down some of these because it said the clock's ticking. Key example of double standards. Let's get to some of the fun things in life. Sexuality and relationships. So men are okay. So women are lambasted for having a lot of bodies, and men are praised. Why am I? I said, why am I praising a man because he has 100 bodies? See, here's the reason why I say I kind of shifted away from that in a way. I said I'm not the world's most promiscuous person, but I could say this. I say a colleague of mine, he get he tagged by he got bodies. He got more bodies than drowning pool. Get the play on words, but the thing that separates me from my partner in crime, I have a woman that I get to lay with at the end of the night, unless I'm passed out on the couch or on the couch because I'm in the doghouse. That's the difference. You can have 500 bodies, but it's better to have just that one body. Workplace and leadership. Okay, no, actually, let's back up real quick. Women may be expected to prioritize the relationship while men are told to be in charge. Okay, let's go ahead and shut that one down. That double standard down. Aren't we? Isn't everybody supposed to play 100-100 or 50-50? You know, equal investment. I thought that was supposed to be a thing, but can't fault me for everything. Let's see, what's another one that I want to go down? Let's see. Appearance and aging. Women are expected to look youthful and effortless, yet are criticized for using advanced cosmetic procedures, whereas men are often praised for aging. Y'all ever heard of George Harrison? Yeah, you remember In Living Color, to where they made so much fun about where Jim Carrey made so much fun about that man's face, where he was baked, where his face looked baked half the time. He was the Orange Man before the Orange Man really took place. You think men aren't supposed to have a thing to where they look or appear youthful? I mean, back in my bar drinking days, I'd probably say, okay, you see me with the whole head of gray. Are you gonna think I'm cringe? Or is you be like, oh, it's just that wisdom, and then I'm gonna think of you as that 304 trying to look for something. Next, emotional expression. Men are often discouraged from showing vulnerability. Be a man, while women are criticizing for being too emotional or demanding. If okay, so what do you want me to be? Can I be vulnerable? Yes. Am I going to make a mission to be vulnerable? No. Safety and defense. Societal views often assume that if a woman acts violently against a man, he provoked it. while a man defending himself may be viewed negatively. I used to be a bouncer. I had to establish my own quote unquote use of force because of stuff like this. Because it said, yeah, you women, when y'all get that liquid courage, y'all act like y'all David and I'm Goliath. Unfortunately, the result wasn't the same. To where it's like, if I'm a bouncer and I have to do, and I call this my little litmus test. If I am a bouncer, knowing that we have this gender banner, and why am I discussing this? Because there's something that I have to learn about. This is called for me self learning. So fight breaks out. I have to separate two women. If women are using hands, I'm not gonna. I'm more than likely not gonna throw hands back. As said, I'm over 300 pounds. An average man. If I put all of that that emotion that's bottled up, that show why men can't be vulnerable, behind my right hand, and then you add velocity from the swing, it's gonna look like the Johnny Cage fatality from Mortal Kombat. I mean, my thing is this: how double standards are intertwined, because it at the end it's more of do for me, not for thee. I mean, if you want me to be open, you have to, like everybody would say, you want me to be open, but you can't accept it, or don't dish out what you can't take. I mean, whether it be male to female. I mean, let's even put it in the colorful coalition, whether it be two males, two females. The rules of the relationship, or even in corporate America, are still the same. You're really not going to try to dish out or what you can't take. I mean, within it, within corporate America or relationship, we all have our role to play. The other part, the question is, in the relationship, is your mate willing to help you succeed in your role? And in corporate America,